everyone, welcome to this week's DIY. It's me, Madison, and we're here. Spring has officially started. It is a 70-degree day outside. As you can tell, I'm super exuberant right now because of that very reason. Now, in terms of flowers, we have a very saturated DIY for you today. We've been doing a lot of light spring, but as the flowers come in from spring, we're gonna bring in a bit more of a brighter tone to spring. Kind of reminds me of summer in a way, but with a few more spring flowers in it. So let's get started. First, we have these beautiful purple roses. They're called Purple Rose Cool Water, which is really cool, and hence the name. They're like a very deep purple, and they have like this beautiful, like frilly petal on it a little bit. They have a low petal count, so they're not the biggest rose. When they do open, they are absolutely beautiful. So you should have some of those. For greenery, we're using green pit. Sorry, I almost said Italian pit. This is an Italian pit. This is a bit more of a structured pittosporum that we like to use. So this one has a really dark color. The back of the leaves kind of have that sagey green color, but if you turn it around, it has that like glossy green color to it. Absolutely beautiful. Then we have these peachy button palms right here. Button palms are pretty much like mums, but instead of them being like not spiky, but a bit more textured, they're very flat and they're like these cute little dots that I absolutely love. They add really good detail. So I'll probably be splitting this up and I'll be showing you how. Then we have this purple larkspur, which is absolutely beautiful. This larkspur is gorgeous because it has this beautiful deep purple. It's going to go really well with some of our purplish tones. It's a really pretty linear because it's kind of gardeny in a way. It has these like little tiny frills of leaves around the flower, which are very beautiful. And they have these little buds that kind of stick out and twirl out from the main stem. A very whimsical, cutesy linear that we're going to be using today. Of course, we're keeping it classic spring, and we have some beautiful orange tulips. These are a little tight, so I may not be able to reflex them, but if we can reflex them, you know that we're going to. It's my favorite thing. And then we have these LA Lily orange lilies. Now, the thing about lilies is a lot of people don't like lilies for real because the smell is so strong. Now, there's two types. Now, there's the ornamental lilies, and then we have the Asiatic lilies. Now, ornamental lilies are usually bigger and they have a really strong smell. So like when you go somewhere and you see those big white lilies, or those big white lilies with touches of pink, and the entire room smells like lilies, those are your ornamental ones. They're huge, they're big, and they're showy. Now, if you want a bit more color, we have something called Asiatic lilies. Now, Asiatic lilies are a bit more smaller and they have less of a scent, but they come in a wide range of colors. So a lot of people like using them in fun arrangements, like we're doing today. So you should have one of these. Now mine is a little closed and I'm not gonna force it open or anything like that. I'm gonna let it last and open up as it goes. And that's the thing about lilies. As they open, they last a long time. As long as you're cleaning out your water and giving them a fresh cut. I've had some lilies last me for like 2 weeks, which is crazy. So yeah, you should have one of those. And then last but not least, we're gonna have some beautiful, wondrous waxflower. I love waxflower because it has like almost like a lemony scent to it. I don't really know where that comes from, but it's like a citrusy, evergreen-ish scent to it that's absolutely beautiful. And this is what I imagine all of the Pacific Northwest to smell like, is waxflower. I don't know why, that's just how I imagine it to smell. All right, so let's get started. So first I'm gonna break down my green pittosporum, or green pit. It comes in this like crazy growing pattern, so I'm just gonna split that up right now and really get some good use out of this green pit. I'm gonna take off all the extra leaves off the bottom, and then I'm just gonna start placing my stems in there, taking off any leaves off the bottom, and then just kind of go in a circle, create that little lattice that we do with all of our stems. We want to create a grid because once we start sticking stuff in there, we don't want it to move too much. So we're going to create that with our pittosporum. We don't have a lot today of pittosporum today, but that's okay because we have a lot of flowers. So our vase is going to be pretty full. Next, to build a little bit more structure inside of our vase, I'm actually going to go a little backwards, and I'm going to put in at least one of our button dots. just to kind of get a bit more mechanics going. So once I start putting in things like roses and things of that nature, they want to stay and they like don't move around too much. Same thing with my wax flower. I'm just gonna put in just a little bit of my wax flower. Not all of it, but a little bit, yes. I'm gonna concentrate it kind of right here. Then probably move one piece towards the back a little bit, just to strengthen up my base a little. And then this little piece right here, cut it a little bit shorter so I can get that angle. Bam. Ta-da. Gorgeous. All right, so now I'm gonna go back to the beginning of what I usually do when I start my flower arrangements. Now that I got a good base going on, I know nothing's gonna be moving around in there, I am going to go in with my larkspur. So I'm gonna cut this right here. I'm gonna use this piece as like a cute little like stylistic piece. Just like a cute little bud that's coming out. Cute. And then I'm gonna clean off the bottom of my larkspur, make sure there's no leaves in the water, and I'll put that one right there. I have plenty other larkspur, so I'm just gonna cut that one. Save the buds for details, and then put that one a little higher, right in the middle. And of course, every single time I'm putting something into my vase, I'm making sure that it's going through and passing through that middle part of my arrangement. So I'm making sure that the larkspur goes through my like grid that I've created to make sure that it stays really strong. All right. So again, I'm just taking this one and I'm making sure that once I put a stem through my arrangement, that's crossing through, all of those stems crossing through. You should feel like a little pressure when you put it in, because that's how you know it's not gonna move anywhere. All right, so I'm gonna cut that a little bit lower, just so I have a little bit more dimension in my arrangement. Maybe even a little bit lower. There we go. And then I'm also gonna cut this one just a little lower as well. Perfect. Very cutesy, very pure. Absolutely love it. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with my cute little pieces that are like really twirly and beautiful. I'm gonna go out right there. And then I have one that's pretty long, so I'm gonna focus it with my larkspur and have it coming out the side this way. And I think I'm also gonna do that with this one too, just have a piece of it coming out this way. But let's look at our arrangement and see how we like it. And we love it. All right. So next I'm gonna go in with some of my focals. So first I'm gonna do these roses. I'm taking off all these little extra leaves. Seeing which ones are gonna need to be peeled off. These need to be peeled off. These roses are really tight. They're really tight. So I'm just gonna blow into the middle a little bit, just kind of encourage them to open. So they just take up a bit more space inside of my arrangement. See, that opened up a little bit. All right. Lower for this next one, and for my next trick, I'll cut this one a little bit, take off those guard petals because they're really meh. Go into the center to open it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna put that one right here. Now, if you're like me and you're tall and you feel like you can't see your arrangement from the top, which is like me, I literally can't, make sure that you're turning your arrangement around and looking at it to make sure you like what you're doing. Because sometimes I arrange and then I put it up to like my level of like height, and then I realize, wow, that looks crazy. So just make sure you're looking at your arrangement 360 from all views, getting level with it, really get in there is what I say. Don't drop your flowers. So again, I'm just taking off all of my guard petals, any of those petals that look a little funky and then just don't look cute. Beautiful. I'm gonna put that one a little bit more towards the back so I'm building dimension and my arrangement doesn't look too flat. Now we're going in with our beautiful Asiatic orange lily. So I'm going to peel off, well, more like just completely scrape off all of those little like leaves that are up and down the stem. We don't want any of those on, and that's for two reasons. We don't want them on because one, they get in the water, they get slimy, and it's dirty, and then it kills your flowers quicker because it builds up bacteria, which is just like a no-go. And also, we really want all of that energy and all that water that the stem is sucking up to go into blooming these beautiful lilies. Now, if it has all of that green and leafage on it, that's going to go to keeping those alive instead of getting this beautiful bloom to bloom. So you want to take them all off. I even took off all the little flowers that are around the bloom of the flower as well. We don't want any of them. G-bye. All right. So I'm cutting it a little short. I don't want too much of a dramatic lily look. I do want it to be front and center, so like, or like a focal moment in this arrangement because I want it to be seen and I want it to bloom beautifully, but I don't want it to be too tall. That's not really the goal of this arrangement for me right now. All right, I like how that looks. Now we're gonna go in with our last pieces. I'm gonna go in with this last button palm. I'm gonna fill in some of those gaps with my button palms. They're like the perfect, cute, see little flower. And I like to split them up like I'm doing right now, and I like to add little details within my arrangement with them. And I usually like to keep them together, just because I think the grouping of them is really cute. Very cutesy. All right, and now what we have last is a little bit more wax flower. So I'm gonna just use a couple more pieces, not too much. I just want to have a couple little dainty pieces in there. I don't want to overwhelm the arrangement with too much wax flower, even though I do love wax flower. There's probably no such thing as too much wax flower. Still, I want to have a good balance. And sometimes I even like to go in my wax flower and like kind of thin it out, just so it looks a bit more natural. Just a little bit though. You don't want to be like, oh no, she's bald. But you just want to thin it out a little bit so that it doesn't look too like clumpy or clumpish in a way. And then also I like to like intertwine it with all my other flowers, just again to make sure it doesn't look too clumpy. All right, and now we're gonna go with our last flower, which is going to be our tulips. So here are our tulips. Again, with tulips, I take off all of those leaves. They get really slimy in the water, and I hate them. I hate when they get slimy in the water and they kill your flowers. So we're gonna make sure that we're doing our due diligence and we're taking all these little nasty little leaves off. Sometimes I keep one on, especially if it's like for style, but only if I'm keeping the tulip tall and like this isn't gonna be in the water. Like if this is in the water, I'm taking it off. Like this part, I'm even gonna really clean my stems, really peel back and have like a clean stem on your tulips. And then I'm just gonna have them, my tulips bursting out of the side. Tall and beautiful. Let's see if some of these gonna reflex. How about that? That's the true. All right, so, okay, let me restart that. So as I'm in my last tulips, I have a couple that are reflex, a couple that aren't. I'm just trying to build some like variety within my tulips. So I've unflipped these ones a little bit. I've left some a little bit not reflex, and then I have this one towards the back. That's a little half reflex, you know, just to again have some variety in the shape of my tulips. So this is when we do some final touches. Again, I'm making everything is not facing forward, but like the best part of the flower is being seen from all angles. I'm pulling out some of my button palms just to make sure they don't look too crazy in there. Also making sure that they're mixed in with my wax flower, so my wax flower doesn't look too bunched. Pulling off any lousy buds off my flowers. Only the best buds only. And this is our DIY for this week. So this DIY is really cool because it's really saturated and cool, but it still has some soft spring flowers in it. So we have our tulips right here that are really beautiful, and then our tulips that are kind of reflexed, but kind of not. I call it kind of like half reflexing. They're super orange and they have that beautiful orange color that really goes with our lilies that is very pretty. We have our purple roses that are absolutely gorgeous. They're like a soft purple, but not too dark of a purple, if you understand what I mean when you get it in person. Then we have our wax flower, which is also really pink, but not too pink, if I may say. They're a good cross between like a purplish and a pink, kind of like a magenta. It pairs perfectly with that orange and that lavender that we got coming in. And then we have our larkspur, which is a very electric purple. So we have all these beautiful tones in here that come together, and yeah, I absolutely love it. As always, I love seeing what you guys do each week, so make sure that you send your DIY to Flowers for Dreams Detroit or Flowers for Dreams on Instagram. And yeah, it was great, and I hope you guys have a good week. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.